Alright, so now we know how to keep ourselves in proper alignment. Now we're going to go through the steps that we can deny our opponent base, structure, and posture so that we're able to create vulnerability. We talked about in mount in the last video how the danger is that our center of gravity is directly over top and connected to our opponent. So the first thing that we're going to talk about in this series is base and how do we start working on denying our opponent base. So base is a platform for which to apply and absorb force maximally. And the second part of that definition is that base is also relative to your goals. So for Kevin wanting to defend this position and being able to disrupt my base, I don't necessarily have to in the same sense that we talked about some of the ways that we denied base to our opponent in side control, where if I had someone's legs completely lifted off the mat, I'm completely denying Kevin the ability to base off of the ground. However, if I am able to, say what we're going to talk about in this position, get up high enough that his hips aren't connected to mine, then Kevin's bridge is no longer going to affect me. And so while I'm not actually doing anything to completely break his alignment, I'm still making his base ineffective. So if Kevin bridges and holds it for a moment, the points of contact that he has with the ground is his feet and his shoulders and neck, and his hips are the part of his body that raises. What we're going to look to do is disconnect from the hips to move up into a high mount so that we're staying on this part of the body that isn't actually moving very much. The closer we get to the hips, the more movement, the more our center of gravity is going to get affected. So in mount, if we're able to move to a high mount by having these arms up, access as levers so I can come up into this position. The reason why this is such a dominant position to attack from is because Kevin's structure is affected, but at the same time, I am now sitting on Kevin's chest. From here, if Kevin was to bridge, you can see how much his hips raise and how little I move, because that movement isn't transitioning up to his chest very much as he just rolls up onto his shoulders. We will go over later how to affect structure and move into high mount, but the main one that I wanted to talk about was a different variation that my instructor Rob Bernanke showed us on how he likes to control mount and attack. So the problem that we talked about with mount is my hips are connected to Kevin's. The second he bridges, any movement is immediately transferred into me. What I'm going to do is go dead toes, pinch my knees to box in his hips, and I'm actually going to just posture straight up. My hips are now completely disconnected from Kevin's. I just turn slightly. Here, I'm still boxing in his hips. I'm not just like if I was here with my legs completely apart and Kevin just starts to hip back. I'm not doing this. Handshake. Now, as Kevin bridges, look how much movement there is before I'm even affected even slightly. And so this is going to allow us to be very effective because now I don't have to be concerned about posting as much, and I'm going to be able to start working on things like starting to grab for the collar, and as Kevin bridges here, he's moving me a lot less. I'm going to be able to start moving through my offense. If Kevin bridges hard enough, a regular bridge usually isn't going to affect me very much, but if Kevin does a bridge and then brings his knee up into my back, he will still be able to access my spine as a lever and affect me slightly. So as I talked about in the last video with base, I will curl my feet under his back or butt so that I'm able to engage my hamstrings and keep myself upright. Kevin's hips always have to lift off the mat for him to perform a bridge, so there's always going to be that space. As I'm here and Kevin bridges, my feet go from here, underneath, not crossing. I don't want to cross my feet because if all of a sudden he drops his hips very heavy onto me, it's going to be uncomfortable, possibly even hurt me. So here Kevin bridges, I'm engaging my heels right behind his tailbone, and I'm engaging my hamstrings, so that even if I ended up falling this far, I can hold myself right now by having my hamstring and glutes engaged. So keeping our hips disconnected from our opponent is going to protect our center of gravity and nullify our opponent's base.